This is Discover Crypto. Every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with digital assets. And that was me coming in hot with Drew's music, everybody. We got a major show today. We got to talk about what is going on with these altcoins. Charts on Cardano, Ethereum, Solana looking very, very juicy, folks. Also, Bitcoin is printing an upside down head and shoulders pattern that has given us something very bullish. But then we have something going on with hype. Also, creating some very interesting drama in the altcoin sector, folks. And this time it's involving stablecoins. Thank you for joining, everybody. And now, hopefully, we got the show right. We got the waiting room right. We got more people jumping in. Thank you for joining. Smash that like button as you go in because we got some major news. We're going to jump right into Bitcoin prices, and then we'll get more into the news, folks. Look at the other altcoins. Now, this is the 4-hour chart. We're going to talk about this upside down head and shoulders. We're going to chart it out. We're going to see where things are heading. Then we're going to look at the shorter time frames now, though. Bitcoin starting on a tear. This happened right around midnight last night, Eastern Standard Time, 11:30 p.m. And since then, Bitcoin's gone on a nice little run of about $1,700. But the last few minutes, things are getting a little bit bullish. We're starting to break out. So smash that like button if you'd like to see Bitcoin break out and drag your altcoin along with it. Not the other altcoins that other people have in their bags. I'm talking about your specific altcoin. And tell me what your altcoin is. What's your altcoin that is your biggest bag? We'll do a little TA on that if I see who has the most comments there. DZ was Josh in Birmingham Airport last week. Swear it was him. He was traveling internationally. He had his anniversary, so there's a non-zero chance that you did see Josh, or maybe it was Eugene Levy's nephew. I'm not sure who you saw out there. Chainlink, World Liberty Fi, Arrow. All right, we got a lot of people naming Chainlink, so we might just start with Chainlink. And the reason why we did a low leverage trade on Chainlink, we still have, I closed a okay amount of the World Liberty Fi as we got into break even over the weekend. But we also opened a very low leverage, just kind of waiting in. Didn't trigger all the orders. I wanted to get this to at least $1,000. Didn't dip down low enough. But yeah, we are in at Chainlink. So let's do a little Chainlink TA, and then we'll look at the rest of the altcoins here. Typing in link as I try to type around my microphone. Chainlink on the 5-minute. Let's see. All right, Chainlink's starting to form a nice little range. Chainlink loves its ranges. I don't know what's going on with Chainlink there, but I'm also seeing almost a little bit of a trend line starting to form. Looks like we maybe failed to hit it. Pretty close, though. Pretty close. So this might be the level I would be watching if you're day trading Chainlink, if you're making some short-term trades. Keep an eye out on some of these ranges. Looking at the 1 hour, we posted about this 1 hour, posted about the bull divs, talked about the strong support, and that's one of the reasons why we open along on Chainlink. Now, I figured we might wick a little bit lower to these levels. That's why we didn't get the whole trade open. But keep an eye out on this purple box. I said we're going to keep extending these things as they keep playing out. And it looks like it played out on this area right here. This is going to be right around $24. If we can clear $24, keep an eye out on this range, which is in that $26 range. And then all the way above that, we have the $30 range for Chainlink. And that's just going to be sweeping the area highs previously where Chainlink was trading. And let me just check that date real quick. This was in all the way back in December 2024. So this was the tail end of the Trump pump after Donald Trump won his election there. Now, we also got some Arrow holders. We might talk about Arrow, ADA. We're going to talk about ADA. Don't you worry about that one. HBAR, man. The HBAR variants in the chat. Seeing tons of ADA holders here, though. Make sure you are staking your Cardano at the DZ pool, folks. Major update regarding midnight and the DZ pool. So if you're not staking there, I'll get into that a little bit later. I don't want to get too derailed. Yeah, Grayscale filed for a Link ETF. We're actually going to launch an ETF or maybe just a Chainlink price prediction video tonight. So turn on those notifications, folks. There's going to be a little button. Make sure you hit that. Hey, Discover. Hey to you. And special thanks to all the people hitting the like button. So someone's in the Pengu ecosystem. I got another altcoin that starts with P. Maybe someone will guess that. Now let's look at the big gainers here. We're going to hit refresh, make sure we got the fresh data. Solana was the biggest winner in the top 10 besides Dogecoin. What exactly have we been talking about for the past week? I've been telling you about Dogecoin. In fact, I bought some more Dogecoin on Robinhood. Mentioned it Friday. Dogecoin, the biggest winner. So pat yourself on the back if you're talking, you know, listening to me talk about Dogecoin, you can see some weird things happening with the Trump family, with the whales in the background, with these exchanges, with these treasuries. And now we're seeing Doge taken a little bit more seriously, folks. And also Solana. 2 videos over the weekend saying buy Solana. Solana's going to be the next big mover after ETH. And what are we seeing right now? We're seeing Solana be the next big mover. Chainlink and Cardano might be the followers after the Solana pump is done, but I don't think the Solana pump is done. So a lot of money still going to be flowing into Solana. Once that's done, that's when you're going to see some of these other altcoins start to take off. Chainlink with the 3.6% pump, and Hype. Hype now up to $50. Let's click on Hype real quick. Let's click Max. All-time high. Very, very bullish. Arthur Hayes, he told us, I think it was somewhere around this dip right here. Told us at 37, this thing's going to go higher. Certainly was correct on that one. We got people in SPX. We got people on 2 phones, man. I want you on your phones. I want you to wake up your convalescent elder in your home, put their phone, make sure they're signed in, make sure they're subscribed, turn on the X, turn on the Rumble, turn on all the things. We don't have Rumble on today. We'll probably get back to that. What percentage you making off the top? Not hosting for free. So we have a 3.5%, and that's because I'm paying a team to do all the testnet stuff for midnight. They're very, very active. They're not one of those set it and forget it stake pull operating teams. So we're in meetings. We're talking about it. We're talking about midnight just this past weekend. So with that, there is a little bit of maintenance fee, but very, very low. There's other people out there at 5% and higher. So only you're going to get 96.5, basically 97%. Now let's go back and look at the big gainers. I want to see the top movers for the top 24 here. WorldCoin. Oh man, Sam Altman. Some would say he's the Antichrist, and Peter Thiel didn't do such a good job. We're kidding, of course. Pengu's up 14%. I can see why you're happy on that one. Bonk is up 9.2%. Dogecoin and Solana rounding out the other big gainers. And surprising to see 2 coins in the top 10 make it out of the top 6 there. Now, looking at the big losers, I mean, I don't want to say I feel good about this one, but when there's a coin you're fading and then it has like 2 green candles in a row, you're like, I don't know, man. And then it starts dumping. You're like, all right, I feel like my thesis was correct. Like I said, we closed a little bit on the World Liberty Fi trade. Still have some open, very, very low leverage. OKB is down. Kronos is down. So we're seeing exchange tokens down as the decentralized exchange token rises. I think there's definitely a narrative there. There's definitely a correlation. Now, Becker keeps talking about Beam. What are your thoughts on Beam? I had Beam a long time ago. I don't know when gaming is going to go on a run. If you ask Alex Becker, gaming is going to go on a run next month. Perennially, it's always the case that it's going to go on a run next month. Beam is going to be tied to the gaming narrative. I'll say it's a better time to buy coins before they run up, not at the peak there. So everyone's going to want to buy when it looks like this. I'm not a big fan of seeing a drawdown on the peaks there. Market cap looks like it's actually diluted. So, I mean, it has some good things going for it, but also has some bad things going for it. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin's upside down head and shoulders, though. We got to talk about the Bitcoin price action. And let me get some of these questions out of the way. Just put out a video saying I don't think ADA will reach previous all-time highs due to the last narrative being an ETH killer. I would say it is going to be decoupled from I don't think there is an ETH killer narrative for any chain. I don't think that's going to apply to XRP, Solana, or Cardano. So there is some truth to that. But I think everybody's kind of graduated from there's only going to be one altcoin besides Bitcoin, and we're all fighting to be that only other altcoin. Now we understand there's going to be tons of altcoins, and it seems like everything is going to be kind of circling back to Chainlink. If you talk to Donald Trump and seeing what they need with their oracles, Cardano pricing, no one is priced in Cardano Chainlink integration. If that happens, that's to me pretty clear. It's going to be all-time high. Thoughts on World Mobile Token have the 5th most active users of all chains. I haven't seen a price appreciation for someone who uses a phone service that's semi-decentralized and then the token's going to pump. But I guess this is what it's going to look at. DZ's right about the SEX versus the DEX. You got that right, folks. And let's we'll talk about Crow. Everyone's still excited about Crow. I think the pump has been done, but Crow will eventually move more and more. Aethir, we got a $2 super chat. Thoughts on Aethir? Well, let's pull it up real quick, and then we'll talk about this upside down head and shoulders chart here, folks. All right, so we got Aethir. We're pulling it up. Down 44% over time. market cap. So they're diluting the token, and the insiders are making a go out of you. To me, this almost looks like, no, I'm saying almost looks like pure manipulation. You can see a little bit of price spikes, but you can see that it's also hitting new all-time highs as far as the value of the company, the market cap. So to me, this is suggesting, again, I happen to, do a little bit more of a deep dive with the correlations here at the price of the market cap. It seems like tokens are released, and what they do is they'll pump that price right as tokens are being released. Tokens being released, what do? They pump that price. Because you can see that it's growing, larger relative than it is in price. It's lower highs, but it's higher highs. So these are tokens being released. I don't have any evidence of this. It seems like the market makers pump the token, they get their tokens, and then they dump the tokens, and then it consolidates, and then they get market makers to pump the token. They dump their tokens, and then it consolidates. But this might be the move of market makers pumping the token. So when I see this price action, I would say this is a take profit token. This isn't a, I'm holding this for 5-10 years because I believe in the future viability of this protocol. That's my 2 cents there. I hope that's well worth your $1.99. All right, let's get into the head and shoulders. Do I have any dandruff today? I don't have hair. You got to have hair to have dandruff. Maybe. I don't know. This is from Colin Talks Crypto. Love this guy. This guy's really been crushing it with all the charts. He's also got a pretty clean logo. I like the bull logo. I like it. For good stuff there. All right, Bitcoin daily head and shoulders. So he posted this on the 7th, and this is around 2 p.m. This is actually played out a lot more. You can see not really super close on this other shoulder, but if you move over here, this recent pump has gotten us a fair amount of the way there. We're looking at 4-hour candles. That was yesterday. There'd be 6 4-hour candles, 2 p.m. So I guess there'd be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're around here, and now we're all the way up, almost closing this. Now, I'm not saying you should short this, because you can see here, we did wick above. You might get stopped out. Be careful trying to trade this. But this is giving us a target to the upside, all right? This is giving us a potential bull case for Bitcoin. That potential bull case is easily measured. What we're going to do is we're going to go from the neckline to the tippy top of the head. This might give us a nice little breakout. And that's going to put us right here at this little, area of resistance, area of support, and just right around in this trading range that we're stuck at for, this is a pretty significant amount of time. We'll say it started right here. This was 90 days. This was 3 months, 3 months of purgatory. If you're trying to use too much leverage, this would take us right into that that 3-month range. $119,000 Bitcoin. Now, Colin, I did want to give the shout out here. I think he says it's going to reject. Let's see if it rejects, or maybe he was just kind of playing both sides there. Okay, he was schlonging. He was talking about the short and the long. Show the 6-hour chart above. Okay, but pattern is present on the daily as well. Just more clear with the 8 hours. We use the 4-hour candles, but yeah, I would say that 8 hours look good there. So potential bull target for Bitcoin, $119,000. There's the bear case. I knew there was one. I have all this research. I'm trying to do the weave for you, folks. I'm doing the weave. All right, Solana's already flipped ETH with the exception of TVL and market cap, and gain it fast up 25%. I would say this fade and TradFi. I have something for you on ETH stablecoin issuage, in which case that is another metric in which they're beating Solana. You're right. Solana beats ETH in a lot of metrics, but there's other metrics. It's not just those two that Solana or ETH is winning. I don't want to be a soothsayer, but I'm guessing Bitcoin will not break significantly higher to the inverse head and shoulders neckline area that make a lower low in mid-September. It's a weak belief, but it's just a guess. So he's saying, 60% odds this is not going to play out. Well, I would say the recent 4-hour candles is saying we might actually end up happening. Crypto Bamboo, I was going to give you the follow. No, a big shout out to Bamboo. Maybe you're in the chat, Bamboo. But speaking of Bitcoin, let's talk about Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor did buy more. He's just not stopping anytime soon. Sooth not saying, all right, that was clever. Sol has not flipped ETH on anything. The metrics on Sol are all botted. Garnered is a house of cards that's fake, like its numbers. Now, Julio, there are some instances of A lot of failed transactions, so we'll give you that. But it can support a high amount of transactions per second. And they're not all signed messages or no-op transactions. So there are some that do pretty well. AVAX, yeah, AVAX is going to do well. Toshi, we were super early on Toshi right when base opened up. Took some profits on that, and I haven't been back in the Toshi pool. Maybe I should dive back in. All right, Sailor, they bought more. We got the stats here. They now have 638,000 Bitcoin. 73,800 is going to be their average price. Their recent buying spree, they came in at right at 111. So good for them. End up spending about $217 million, and they bought it between the 2nd and the 7th. Michael Saylor not slowing down, and maybe he's looking at some of these metrics here. Just in, Bitcoin mining difficulty hit a new all-time high. Now, when the difficulty adjusts to the downside, you'll see price deprecation. You see it right here. You go straight up, you see the price kind of go off. You see it right here. Now, you can say it's a lagging indicator because they no longer make money with their mining equipment, so they turn off their mining equipment, and that would happen after the price goes down. I will get into this stand in 1 second. Don't you worry. Then if you look right now, all-time high. This suggests as electricity is skyrocketing and we're seeing the difficulty skyrocket for Bitcoin, this should, all things being equal, we could talk about efficiency of hardware in another conversation. All things being equal, it should cost more to produce each Bitcoin. The more it costs to produce that Bitcoin, the more those miners want to diamond hand it, the less likely they're able to give it away. If you're able to mine a Bitcoin for $10, you'd give that thing away like rice. If you had to mine a Bitcoin and it cost you $95,000 in electricity, well, you might want to hold on to that one a little bit more tightly, and people are going to have to pay you a little bit more of a premium. All right, so someone's got a question here. Why would a Cardano Chainlink integration make all-time high for ADA? Cardano's main hanging point is the lack of stablecoins and the lack of integration across all those other ecosystems. Chainlink, I think, would solve both of those issues. And it would be the real reason, though, the White House, as suggested, they did not choose 9 blockchains to win. Nay, they chose 2 oracles, really just 1 oracle. And if you worked with that oracle, Chainlink, then you were able to have that economic data published on your chain. And so I think the Chainlink, I would say, backdoor into the White House is bigger than the Ethereum one. Maybe not Bitcoin, but definitely more so than the other altcoins out there. So it is very, very bullish to have that Chainlink integration, not just DeFi, but also the political connections and all those blockchain, instances of just economic data, housing data, employment data. And I'm going to do a breakdown on Chainlink. It's going to be releasing tonight. I'm still doing the research. I got to get it to the editor as soon as I'm done with this show. And then you'll see why exactly I am super bullish. I'm going to use a quote from our AI and crypto czar, David Sachs. He was on All In this past weekend. I'm going to pull out a couple clips or maybe just one clip from that and just kind of give you a nice little narrative there. The programming language, yeah, that would also help. You would be able to integrate more easily without having to know Plutus or Haskell. I mean, you could laugh about devs being really good with math and, working with the College of Edinburgh and submitting papers. I mean, there's other chains where it looked like maybe they didn't do so good at math here. All right, let's get back to Bitcoin. Let's circle back. Sneaky, thank you for the repost on X, by the way. Year to date, this is what we have since January. So we're looking at 8 complete months plus 8 days. We're looking at roughly 250 days into the year. 250 days in the year. Mine 107,000 Bitcoin. Okay, it's 450 a day. Yeah. Addresses with 10 Bitcoin or less, the shrimps, the weak guppies, they sold 27,000 Bitcoin. Now, remind you, we mined 107,000. They sold 27,000. The larger entities, they actually bought a little bit. But the addresses with more than 100 bought all 107,000 Bitcoin plus an additional 23,000 Bitcoin. This is telling me one thing and one thing only. Supply and demand has not yet caught up with Bitcoin. I think there's a lot of, I don't say shady things, but there's interesting things happening with these ancient whales, with these OTC deals, with market makers, with exchange reserves. Let's just say, when you look at these numbers, I don't think $110,000 is going to be the stopping range. I don't think we top out at 120K this cycle. This gives me vibes of, closer to 200K, maybe even a quarter million. Now, also, we have companies buying on average 1,755 Bitcoin a day. Remember, we only mine 450 Bitcoin a day. So we're seeing massive amounts of accumulation by the large entities with more than 100 Bitcoin. We're seeing we're seeing companies also buy massive amounts of Bitcoin. But now we got a nice little thesis with this recent price downtrend. So I'm like, oh, supply and demand. It must come on. Where's it at? Where's this price pump? It's got to pump. This might be one of the reasons why we're not seeing a pump. So Bitcoin whales have actually been dumping over the past 30 days. Remember, that was year to date. We were looking since January. If we go back just 30 days, well, they've dumped 12 billion in Bitcoin over the past month. In the last 30 days, whale reserves have fallen by 100,000 Bitcoin. The selling pressure has then penalized the price in the short term, ultimately pushing it down from 120 down to 108. According to CryptoQuant, though, it's been the largest whale sell-off since July 22. Remember all those exchanges going down around that time. 30-day change of 114,000 Bitcoin. That's the $12 billion. Now, the 7-day daily change balance reached its highest level since March 21. On September 3rd, more 95,000 Bitcoin being shifted by the whales. But David Bailey said it goes to 150 if 2 whales will just stop selling. So we got 2 whales. They just won't quit. And the good news, it seems like the selling pressure has been slowing down with the weekly balance charts now dropping to 38,000. So in this 7-day total, sold 95,000, slowed down to 38,000. If you go by that math, is that next week a net gain? Because that's a 60K reduction. So that means we're going to, or accumulation. Does that mean we're going to buy 30K next month? Potentially, folks, potentially 22. I know 32. Be 70. Tether denies Bitcoins. Now let's talk about Tether here. Tether also trying to sell Bitcoin. So what's up with all these whales? So we got year to date, things are looking good. But now we're hearing rumors that Tether, are they selling Bitcoin for metal? Are they selling the Bitcoin for gold? And this thing goes down all the time. I don't know what's going on with it over here. I have like cursed Wi-Fi at my house, but hey, at least the stream's looking good. Smash that like button if everything's looking clear to you, folks. Now, Tether denies, though. We did not sell Bitcoin. Confirms, now we're buying Bitcoin, gold, and land. And so the CEO, Paulo Aldrino, he denied the rumors that the stablecoin issuer is offloading Bitcoin to buy gold. So Tether not selling Bitcoin to buy gold. It came from Clive Thompson, who cited Q1, Q2 attestation data. I remember when this happened. We were like, what's going on? I was kind of waiting for the confirmation here. But it pointed out a drop. Q1, 92,000 Bitcoin. Q2, 83,000 Bitcoin. But then the CEO debunked the claim and said Tether transferred 20K Bitcoin to 21 Capital, XXI. Okay, Roman numerals. 21 is going to be Jack Mallers, and this is just a Bitcoin finance company. And so it's basically their buddy had a bank. The bank needed some Bitcoin reserves, and they gave him some Bitcoin. But in the end, it's going to be Tether's Bitcoin still. And so if anything, no, they've actually added Bitcoin in that time. And that's Jack Mahler after 10 years of working with the Lightning Network. All right, so this is a larger breakdown. I want to go into it, but just kind of just explaining that, they now layered in $8.7 billion of physical gold, and they have stakes in gold miners. And so they're just kind of diversifying here. They have some land. And so, they're shifting away from pure exposure to Bitcoin and leading harder on the 2 old anchors of financial safety, treasuries. Of course, their balance sheet loaded with short-term treasuries, and of course, gold, of which they have almost $10 billion worth. So shout out to Tether for the gold. Shout out to the gold bugs. I should have worn my gold bracelet today. Big shout out to CryptoFace for help facilitating that trade there. What happened to hanging on your Bitcoin? We'll love to see tons of whole Bitcoin on the side. Ain't going to be enough Bitcoin for everybody to have one. That is for sure. I haven't sold Bitcoin in a long, long time. Although if I were to sell Bitcoin, I would probably buy Chainlink. I think Chainlink would be the one altcoin I might consider All right, I don't mind a little divestment from Bitcoin. But then after Chainlink pumps, the entire purpose would be to buy more Bitcoin. So it's like I would try to turn 1 Bitcoin into 1.2 or something, or that equivalent. I'd try to get like 20, 30, maybe even double the amount there. ADA will be fine. Don't let the FUD get to you. I got some Cardano charts later, and what I show you you might agree. You might agree. You are in Whizzle. You are the person. You are the man. You are the whatever you are. I appreciate you supporting the channel. And if everybody wants to hit us with that thumbs up, I really do appreciate it. God, I can't hit my little vertical window here. All right, so let's talk about hype. I'm thinking about. I know hype's pumped. I'm looking at hype pullbacks now for more entries, though. That's for sure. Paxos is presenting. Let's kind of break down what happened. So it started with this on the 6th. Paxos. 95% of the, let's back up first. So Paxos wants to do a stable coin on hype, USDH. Paxos is going to be, fairly large stable coin provider. They were number 3, they were number 3. They've now fallen as of, let's check here. So we can go to stable coins. Oh, these are going to be issuers, not the actual stable coins. Yeah. So we're going to go categories. Then we're going to go to stable. I imagine they have stable here. Yeah, I figured it's going to be really high because of the market cap. So yeah, USDE is number 3. USDE. DAI is, Paxos is DAI. So DAI is now number 5. USDS. And then we got Trump. Trump coming up the back end. Pause. Sorry, Melania. We have PayPal USD, starting to slowly climb as well. I think this one's going to continue to grow. And I think you're going to have, RLUSD probably climb at some point too. We don't really see it on here. That's going to be XRP stablecoin. The reason, here it goes right here, 148. So, Ripple stablecoin, not super low either. But Ripple has a gigantic war chest. If they wanted to teleport it to the top 3, they could do so. And PayPal, publicly traded company, very, very, let's just say, fruitful company as well. They're already tied into all of the legacy financial systems. That might also jump. But so let's back up. So we'll go back to here. So, they need to be, Paxos needs to be number 3 again. So I think the way they're trying to do it is let's work with, the new Uniswap, the new decentralized exchange there. And so they have a little, move here. 95% of their short-term interest, so they get 3-month T-bills. You give them $1 billion. After 3 months, you're going to get, roughly about 3.9%, but 1/4 of that. You'll get an extra 1%, right? So you get an extra $10 million. And so with this, 95% of that money is going to be used to buy back hype. Now, I don't like this part. They want to buy back hype and redistribute it back to ecosystem initiatives, partners, and users. And so if, maybe some sort of staking protocol or maybe some sort of, the large players are going to get hype, I'd rather them stick it in a treasury and promise not to sell it for X amount of months, years, etc. To me, this might be a bunch of buy pressure that a large percentage immediately leads to sell pressure. So good, because not everybody is going to sell their hype, but, a lot of people might sell this hype. And honestly, it could do bad things. With the 95% that they're buying, they might have very sophisticated buying algorithms that are buying every 1 minute and is buying the dips and is buying, high liquidity, and it's not affecting the order book. And, when they buy their hype, it's not really pumping the price, right? That's the point. You buy to pump. And if they're doing a sophisticated buying pattern where, yeah, they're buying tens of millions of dollars worth, but it doesn't create any bullish price action because of the way they structure their buys. What if some whale gets a giant bag and just fat fingers a sell bid, ends up tanking, and you end up getting a giant red candle? Then it ends up being bearish. But I digress. Let's move on. So we got Paxos. Then you move forward. We got another one. We got AUSD. AUSD, it's a small stable coin. So they're also trying to. MoonPay's, agreed with Nick Van Eck. He's the founder of AUSD. AUSD is Agora. Agora stablecoin. I looked into Agora 5-6 months ago. They had $9 million. And so we got another stablecoin provider. They're working with large players. They're working with Layer Zero, working with EtherFi, working with MoonPay. And that's all good. MoonPay, licenses KYD users, and has more users than Stripe, more than Bridge. So they might actually have a good shot there. So all of this is spelling good for hype, but we're not done. We're not done. Jeremy Allaire. Now we're all the way like September 7th now we're at like Sunday night at 8 p.m. I mean, it's Sunday night. Hang out with your family. He's like, oh, God, the stablecoin wars are heating up in hype. All right, I'm going to send out a banger tweet at 8 p.m. on a Sunday. Don't believe the hype. We're coming to the hype ecosystem in a big way. We intend to be a major player and contributor to the ecosystem. You're not going to make money with USDC. You're not going to make money with Agora, sorry. You might make money with Layer 0, but you're not going to make money with USDH either, Paxos, or any of their stablecoins. They're all going to be locked to $1. But hype to me is getting a lot of hype from this. So I am a lot more bullish on hype after seeing basically the rat race of stablecoin CEOs. It's one thing to have a partnership with one, but when they all stick their head out of the sand, and they're like some gophers, like, oh, that to me is very bullish. That to me is super bullish that these legacy industry players are betting on hype. So they're all betting on hype. So this is all pretty good. So Paxos, they have the USDH proposal here. There's going to be complying with the Genius Act, MiCA regulatory standards. We talked about the 95%, but they're going to redistribute it. But this is, what I want to share. Hyperliquid now has 70% of the decentralized perpetuals market, dominant force in perpetuals futures, $106 million in revenue, $400 billion in trading volume. So hype is looking very, very hype. Let's go back to the hype chart here. Let's look at hype. Is it too late to buy? That's the question, right? Is it too late to buy? I don't want to buy that wick. Is this happening like as I'm talking about it? I mean, not pretty close. Oh, man. 4 hour. I mean, we have another, we have the God trend line, I mean, you could say, this is nothing. You can even, pull it back. You can maybe, cut through it. Yeah, that bounces off the candle body there. Maybe take that to the top of the wick. Okay, it cleans up a little bit if you move it that way. So, I mean, you could say, okay, maybe we come down to this. What kind of upside are you looking at there? You might get a nice little 20%. I mean, 20% is nothing to shake your stick at. There's hedge fund managers would kill to have 20% year over year. That would be, put you in a very, very exalted air there. But I also see that this is, has a second trend line, a little bit more recent. I feel like it's got a pretty good shot at hitting this today. After that, are the hype whales going to take profit? Or are they going to be looking for some higher levels? I think that remains to be seen. Right now, though, flirting with all-time high. Price discovery, folks. Just be careful with some of these TA lines there. Now, I don't know if we got the hype holders, but I think it's going to be fine. All right, now let's get a couple questions here. Is it going to fly or die? I feel like Saudis and other sycophants are going to buy it big. I don't see it dumping too much lower than it did that previous weekend. So I would be pretty surprised if it stays low. Did I let one? No, I didn't let one go. I'm in a leather chair. I would share it. No, there's no eggs today. Although I have some eggs. I have a pocket egg. I stay strapped. I'm strapped with the pocket eggs. So that's why we haven't heard any protein poots there. Midnight airdrop time frame is running out. That is right, folks. If you don't have your midnight airdrop claimed, go claim your midnight for sure. We want to make sure you guys get some free money. AIOZ is going to have a good run. Let's go look at it. I know we looked at it, I want to say a week or two ago. And we were saying it, it has bottomed out. Looks like it didn't bottom out completely. Yeah, I remember looking at this. Look, so it lost that support. Yeah, I mean, we were looking at that, and now it is, has another level, where it wicked down here. I don't want to say it's over for you. That's actually not terrible. There's a decent amount of confluence here. Oh, we can say it hits that. I mean, oh my God. How terrible? How terrible was that TA? All right, so I was drawing lines. I swear I was drawing the best lines. My lines were the best lines. We're looking at, I mean, and this is what I was joking about. So, like, I saw this. You could say, oh, it hit this too. It hit that too. But this is a decent amount of confluence in my book. It might go down another level. It might go down to this range. Just be prepared with your long-term thesis. And when it runs up, it runs up. Take profit, though. Take that freaking profit. Take that profit. Do not wait for all-time highs. It's got to go here because it was there. Not necessarily, man. This is crypto. People take their money and then they'll go buy Bitcoin. And the people buying Bitcoin, they'll sell Bitcoin for gold and land. So just, feel free to take profits with a very, very healthy pattern there. That'd be my 2 cents. So we talked about Paxos. Now, this is kind of similar vein. Similar vein. What are we talking about? Never mind. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. Tie me off, Johnny. Let's see. Thoughts on Say? I'll get into that in a second. Don't you worry. We'll talk about I'll get your Say question in as well. Let's see. Fixed on Treasure. I think it has been fixed on Treasure. I think so. All right. Pump.fun. Controlling. This is just AI XBT, but I like what they're saying. 73% of the Solana meme coin volume, and they just deployed on Base Blast ARB simultaneously. The NASDAQ for shitcoins. I like that. I just want to share that they're the NASDAQ for shitcoins. When your one platform has price discovery across 4 chains, you trade the toll booth, not the cars. So pretty cool. I do like that. I think it's a good tagline for them. Let's see here. So Say, and then we'll look at ETH. We're going to go from Say to ETH, everybody. That's what I say. The Say-SWI correlation has been ending. Now, I see a little head and shoulders that might be breaking to the upside. I think I do. Let's go to the 4-hour, clean it up a little bit. Now, these can break either direction, correct? You know what I mean? Now, it could break to the upside or break to the downside. Typically, you're going to follow the same pattern. This looks like it's a continuation to the upside pattern, in my opinion. Slightly more high probability it breaks to the upside versus downside. And I would say, since at this very moment, you're like, arguably above the trend line, you can say, the probability is definitely higher. It looks like a nice little 42% target. So I like the chance. I like the probability for a breakout. Also, it seems like it's turned this into support. Let's throw down the horizontal line. It's going to coincide right here with the top of this. Yeah. I mean, you could say this is kind of a range. And we have now exited that range. I like it. Maybe it comes down for a retest, but the Say to me is looking pretty decent there. So hope that helps your thesis on Say. Now let's talk about ETH. Shout out to Ben Cowan. You know what? Have you guys seen the Ben Cowan Litecoin drama? Let me just do this real quick, then we'll get into the charts like for real. Ben Cowan has been battling Litecoin. Let's see here. So I'll have to scroll. This guy did he delete them all? Okay, I was about to say. So it all starts, I mean, it like goes on and on down the rabbit hole. All right, I lost all my hair trying to convince Litecoiners convert to Bitcoin, a small price to pay for the greater good. This is on the 6th. This was a day ago then. This is screenshots. This might be like from the 4th. So this is like 4 days ago. Your head reminds me of the Great Recession. Damn, I thought I had it bad, man. Your head reminds me of the Great Recession. Your market cap reminds me of the Great Recession. Oh, cue the clip. Prove traders wrong. Been there, done that. And that was his screenshot. The only cryptocurrency to get ratioed on and off the charts. I mean, Ben's winning. Heard Ben is starting his own anonymous trading site called Forehead. Nope. Failed on that one. Okay. I mean, and then I think we got Yeah, I mean, then it gets quote tweeted here. Yeah, post that. That'll get people to buy our coin. Just wanted to share the Litecoin Ben drama. This is the quiet part. This is what all started. It all started here on the 5th, I guess. Just pointing out Litecoin bleeding to Bitcoin. And then they said the quiet part. And then, you know, boom, next thing you know, found a use case for my receding hairline. What's Litecoin's use case again? Drama, drama, drama. All right, chat. Let me know. Whose side are you on? LTC or Ben? All right. I'm on Ben's side. I'm on Ben Cowan's side for sure. But type in LTC, type in Ben. Let me know. Big shout out to Into the Cryptoverse. Shout out to Ben and his wife. Very, very pleasant, very nice people. You know, awesome story. If you ever get to meet them, if you ever hear him talk about his family, you know, they're very family oriented there. They met dancing. They met ballroom dancing. I don't know if Kelly, you're listening, but you know, Kelly, yeah. So when I partied over at his little Vegas thing, was it Vegas? Yeah. Me and him got to shoot the you-know-what, talking about dancing and different moves. Ben, if I had to pick one, Ben, it's Litecoin. All right. It ain't unanimous here, Ben. It ain't unanimous, but yeah, not everyone's a fan of Litecoin. Someone said garbage. Mathematics chooses Litecoin. Does it? Why? Because, oh, there's 4 for every 1 Bitcoin, so it must equal 1/4 of a Bitcoin, right? No. All right. ETH ran the highs in August. The current pullback should bring ETH back to its 21-week exponential moving average. After it drops to this moving average, that's when it rallies to new all-time highs. And I listened to his video over the weekend. It was about Bitcoin, but I think it will play out for ETH as well. Basically, maybe it won't. September 1st. Yeah, it will. It might. And so August, you know, ended poorly, right? That last week. The low for September might be September 1st. So we may have already put in a low. And he's talking about Bitcoin, but it looks, you know, it's playing out for ETH as well. We may have put in the low for September on the 1st, and it might be that green September just to, you know, go against everybody. Now we're going to talk about this 21 EMA. I just want to show you the target because it looks a little scary going that low. If it were to go to the 21 EMA, he's suggesting it's going to, you know, use it as support, similar to this range right here, and also similar to the run up right here that we saw from October 23. You know, didn't quite get to it, but, you know, did when it came down and retest, went, you know, slightly a little lower, but, you know, had a nice little bounce, had a nice little recovery, used the 21-week EMA. If it were to go to the 21-week EMA, we are looking at roughly a $3,500 ETH, and it's going to be about only a 20% decline there. So not bad. Bear post from Ben Cowan, a 20% reduction, and then it's going to blast off to new all-time high. So that's a bear post that I can get behind. Has it gone home? It'll go home. Yeah, love. Hey, I think Kelly is watching. Yeah, super nice guy. All right. DZ and Ben got to dance together. He gave you a good dip and called it the Litecoin dip. I was swooned. I was knocked right off of my feet when he did that. I saw butterflies and I heard harps in the background, and he all of a sudden looked to me like a Disney princess. You know, his eyes were like larger, like an anime, and they're glossy and glistening, and he was blinking at me like a newborn deer. And I think I saw a bird chirping around his hairline, and the sky parted and the sun came down and again off his forehead, and it was blinding me, but it was like the Ark of the Covenant, man. It was a good burn. My eyes were bleeding, but I was thankful, and I was weeping. I was like, thank you. You had to be there, folks. You had to be there. Was that too much? Should I stop like 8 seconds or 10 seconds earlier there? All right, let's talk about Cardano here. It was there, man. It was a wild time, man. You had to be there. Love you, Ben. All right, ADA closing the day above the 50-day moving average. Can it stay there? It looks like we have now flipped into support. We're going to get into it in a second. I was looking at that. Thought that was my post for a second. So boom, you can see it. Love it. bounced off of it. Strong support there, kind of tried to go below. That's also exactly what we did right here. Then it went on its next rally. So I wanted to do something here. This is live TA, folks. That was 60% pump. I mean, I guess I could come in from the bottom. Yeah, we'll do it that way. 70, we'll say 80% pump, 50% pump. Okay. So you're talking about a reduction of the pump by 36%. A 36% reduction on 50% is going to be an 18% reduction. And so just kind of using back of the napkin math, we got a potential 32% pump. 32% pump. Hit that like button if you like the live DZ arithmetic there. 32% pump puts us, local high 104. And so if the pumps are diminishing, it should diminish to 32%. But I think I like this playing out. I think there's a really good shot we're going to see this. And so, but I posted this Friday and I said, if ADA can hold support, the next stop is going to be 87 cents. Actually, quote tweeted it. Looks like we did hold on to it. We would later, trend line did hold. This was, I think I posted on Saturday. And if we look right now, yeah, the trend line held 87 cents. Looks like we're going right to 87 cents, folks. Oh my God. Why didn't I long Cardano? I called it. Oh gosh. TJ was right, man. He's like, man, you've been nailing the TA. I'm like, yeah, but I haven't been trading the TA like I should be, man. I should have longed it. I long Link. Okay, look, you can only long so many things. And I actually did do a Cardano long, so I was already, like, I already made money off of it. I can't make money off of it twice. I could have made money off of it twice. Darn it. All right, well, yeah, there's your Cardano TA. After 87 cents, I, expect a lot of choppy waters. It's going to break up and down. It's going to try to shake you out of your trade. It's going to try to liquidate your trade. And then after that is all said and done, the music's, the ringing stops in people's ears, like Saving Private Ryan. The guy picks up his arm, kind of settles, like takes a breath. Okay. And then that's when it's going to go to $1.17. And I think eventually, if we see something serious with Chainlink, it'll go even higher though. Dagnum PI put some really good stuff. Go check out his post. Basically, he just talks about the sell pressure kind of coming to an end there. So it's definitely worth a shot. And also we have that there's a falling wedge, typically bullish, like 68% of the time. And that's going to potentially put us to, so I called the 87 cents. He's calling the next move. It's going to 92 cents there. So don't fade all these charts. Tonight, we're going to do a Chainlink video. We're going to talk about Sergey meeting with the White House crypto liaison. We're going to talk about David Sachs saying the more important thing isn't the chains. The more important thing is the oracles, what those oracles are going to look like. And we'll talk about the Chainlink ETF. And then if we do get this, what kind of price prediction can we expect for Chainlink? So turn on notifications if you want to see Chainlink. You want to see me break all that down. And I said I was going to come back and talk to someone about a metric Solana doesn't beat Ether. It's going to be stablecoin issuance. ETH added $1 billion almost every single day last week. I'm not going to get into the weeds there. I just wanted to kind of put that on your radar. Big money is still increasingly betting on ETH. And now let's talk about the Fed here. This is a good post, and I want to share this Grok question and answer. The Fed's about to join the global rate cut cycle because we know there's everybody else is cutting, but America hasn't cut. We should be cutting in about a week's time, a little week and some change. But we haven't cut yet. We haven't cut since December 24. There have now been 88 rate cuts worldwide year to date. This is the most since 2020. Puts it on track for the third highest cutting cycle on record. Now, the European Central Bank and Bank of England, they've cut 4 and 3 times. Canada is cut. Swiss is cut. Meanwhile, the Fed, they're on hold with 0 rate cuts. U.S. monetary policy is in its own world. So we're not cutting, everybody else is cutting. This is a good question and answer. I like this from DJ Alex Void. Pew, pew, pew. Theoretically, what could we see happen if the Fed decides to cut rates aggressively in order to catch up with the global rates? So what happens if the Fed cuts aggressively? Theoretically, aggressive cuts aligned with global peers could stimulate growth by lowering borrowing costs, boosting investment and spending, but it might weaken the US dollar, aid exports, but raise import prices. Stocks could rally, but risks include renewed inflation, asset bubbles, and volatility due to shifting capital flows. Outcomes depend on the pace and the global context. Everything I'm seeing here says higher Bitcoin prices. Every single thing here. So weakening the US dollar, good for Bitcoin. Exports, imports, it's a global currency, largely going to be neutral. Stock markets rally, could be good for Bitcoin. Renewed inflation, it's going to be good for Bitcoin. Asset bubbles, going to be good for Bitcoin. And volatility, if you're in the markets and you're watching it every day, great for Bitcoin because now you have good entry points and now you can identify those entry points. Every single thing is just saying buy Bitcoin and is screaming it from the top of the roof there. Also, global M2 is exploding. US 500 is exploding. Gold is exploding. Bitcoin still lagging. What comes next is obvious. Now, we did a video on gold. Didn't get much love. I think it basically tells you everything you need to know. Really breaks it down what's going to happen next there. And let me just click on the video here just so I can show you guys. It's going to be, will Bitcoin follow gold? We have Aaron, our thumbnail guy. He's having a baby, not him, his wife. She's having a baby. He's part of that process too, of course. And he's taking a little time off. So I've been doing the thumbs. Now, sometimes I'll, adjust one of his older ones, but sometimes, it's a homegrown DZ original. Clearly, the market did not like my thumb. So help me out with my bad thumb. Go watch Bitcoin Follows Gold every single time I talk about the amount of days after the fact, et cetera, et cetera. But Bitcoin almost always follows gold. You got that right. DZ, that video was solid. Thank you, Enzo. Enzo, you put a little pep in my step today, man. I appreciate that. Seen a few dApps were doing airdrops. I've seen something about a Seeker token airdrop. Speaking of airdrop, make sure, folks, that you're staking to DZ Pool. If you're not staking to DZ Pool, highly recommend it. We got about 750, 100,000 ADA on there. More and more people adding to their bags, switching from some of these other stake pool operators. Talk to the team. Midnight testnet is live. We're working with the validation now. DZ Pool will earn you Cardano and Midnight tokens. Okay, so you'll get Night if you stake with DZ. All you have to do is go into the wallet. I don't have it on full screen. I don't think you can see it. Can you see my? Yeah, you can't see my wallet. For whatever reason, it just says a window, so I can't even show you there. But yeah, if you go into the wallet, oftentimes it's going to be a little staking button. Click the staking button. It will take you to where you can search for pools. It's like a URL. I'm the only one with DZ pool. So go stake there. If you want to earn Midnight, if you have it on, in exchange, I highly recommend take it off that exchange because you're going to earn yield. You might earn yield with that exchange, but you're not going to earn Midnight yield. And with the DZ pool, you're going to get both. Can you guys put up a video or a link for the Midnight claims? Yeah, we did one. I think if you just type in Discover Crypto Midnight airdrop, it should pop up. Let's see here. I'm trying to find it for you here. It is. We did do it. 100%. That's it. Cardano's massive midnight free airdrop. Are you eligible? So go check that out. We break down everything you need to know there. All right. Where can you go there? Where can you go there? I don't know what that means. Where can you go where? And then what? I don't know. Joe going to hold ADA through the bear for sures. I'm going to hold some, that's for sure, because I'm going to be earning more yield. They should force Coinbase to accept midnight airdrops. Charles said he's talking to Coinbase team in his AMA. So he said they're in negotiations, but they might keep it. And they're definitely not going to give you day one midnight yield. That's for sure, folks. So go stake the DZ pool. That's all I got for today. Thank you for joining from the lair, from the DZ basement with the bad ID. But we got the Chainlink photo. We got the snake energy. And let's all take a little sip together, folks. We're going to do this in 3, 2, 1. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, folks, that's all I got. Thank you for joining. I'll see you in the future.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you.